Good afternoon. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. On point with me today is my co-host from Canada, Mr. George Tully. Today we have a special edition of our show, one that will break your heart if you are a father, if you are a parent, if you are a mother. We have our special guest, Mr. Nathaniel Blajay, whose plight is unthinkable. I cannot even contemplate what he is going through as a father whose daughter was gang raped, according to the news report, on the premises of the Liberian embassy in Abuja. And as we speak, the family is torn apart. They are in pain. It is a horrendous subject to talk about that nobody who is considered a decent human being will be able to stomach this. Uh, Let me bring in Mr. Nabeje. Miss J, how you doing there, sir?
Yes, I lost along the way and I was trying to get back online.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are you hearing me?
My co-host, yeah, I can hear you. My co-host is George Tully. George Tully, how
Hey,
you
how
doing
you
there,
guys?
sir?
Yeah, I'm here. How you guys doing? I want to welcome our listeners out there, those who dedicate their time, on Sundays, to tune in and listen to, our d- discourse, the different discussions we hold here at Focus on Liberia. I want to say we are grateful for the fact that you tune in and you are here today. And not, I want to say welcome to you too, even as we discuss something that is um, something that is not palatable to me in any way, shape, or form. But we have to discuss it, and this is a platform for you to be able to speak your mind, free of intimidation. And we know we didn't coerce you to come here. We know that you are speaking freely from a place of clarity. And let's use this occasion to try and educate our listeners out there and those the wider internet public. Um, of the realities, the issues, the case as it is. Okay, so this is a good opportunity, a good platform to speak your mind, and so we say welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Beje, a disclaimer here. I am a person on here that is considered an unabashed physician, a supporter of the president. So what we are talking about here goes beyond party politics. It goes beyond opposition. It goes beyond everything else. We are talking about humanity here. I am a supporter, a diehard supporter of this government. So what I'm saying here is, I want to make it clear that this has nothing to do with opposition. This is humanity at its best. We are calling upon you, our viewer, our friends, the clergy, the Muslim community, you name it. This is something that we all have to speak against. This is a father. This is a family man. This is a diplomat. And me, I, as a Liberian, a father of three girls in my house. I think Mr. Tule will attest to it. He has a woman in his house, a wife, as a mother. He has sisters. We are going to deal with this. We're going to deal with it. So, Mr. Bridges, just give us the foundation. How did we get here?
Okay, so firstly, I want to say thanks for the invite. I have had a couple of such invites, since I went public exactly a week ago. But I had to attach some importance to this one because I know, every platform has its unique audience. And even if I had made several other appearances on various platforms, their own audiences are quite different from this one and others. How did we get here? Well, it's quite unfortunate this happened. And even my worst enemy, I can never ever pray for such occurrence on them. Because since I entered this world, I have never ever had any pain comparable to what I felt on April 17, 2021, when our young baby revealed to us that she had been the sexual toy of not one boy, excuse me, of not one child, of not one boy, but two, and not once, not twice, but a couple of times. And when she says September of 2020, and at that time we're discussing April of 2021, that means we're talking about 7 months period where at every given time, I mean, at every given opportunity, those boys, any of them, she was just at their mercy.
Hmm.
Before them, she was complaining of having difficulty in passing us to, like Liberia in Liberia was here to toilet. And then she was like, "Mommy, when I go toilet, it's difficult to come out, and stuff." And then experiencing decline in her physical structure, not knowing that she had been telling her immediate senior sister that, "See, these boys have been harassing me sexually, and they have been drawing me in one corner in one dark room downstairs in the embassy." Now they just gave a vivid description of how that embassy is. I always tell a lot of people that is probably one of our best properties. When I say our, I mean the government of Liberia's best properties outside of Liberia in Africa, as the federal government of Nigeria decided to relocate its federal capital from Lagos to Abuja. So we were allotted a slot like other foreign emissions, and we have a very unique embassy there. Sorry for the outage. I'm sure the light is going to come back on. Well, this is Liberia, but I'm still being seen, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we
yeah,
can
yeah,
see
yeah,
you. We
yeah.
can hear
You're
you.
alive.
Okay. So I'm sure they'll restore the light very soon. So as just so that embassy, what the point I was trying to make is that the embassy doubles as a, I don't know whether this light is gonna help. So that embassy doubles as both a chancery and a residential apartment or residential apartments for diplomats and even Nigerian staff of the embassy. So right there is where she was being abused. Downstairs is a five-story building, and we were on the third floor at the as residents. And she had disclosed this to her immediate senior sister, who herself is a teenager. At the time, she was like 14 years, and is telling her, "Say, this is what has been happening to me. I need to tell mom and daddy." Now, unfortunately, the senior sister told us, "Hey, you know how close these two families are? You don't need to say that. It's really going to tear the two families apart. But don't worry, I will talk to those boys. I will worry them now, and I will tell them they should stop whatever you are talking about." And I don't know whether she said that, but a couple of times again, she experienced it, and then she took it a step further and because like you, Mr. Gilman, like I always see you on your social media page, I see you with girls. So I have an all girl family, and then she elevated it at the level of the other senior one, saying, reporting the same thing. Like, I have told my immediate senior one, and it's still discouraging me from telling that because he said the two families will be torn apart. And trust me, that one was a bit correct because the two families before now were very close. I'm talking about my family and the family of these two group of perpetrators. Very close on the same floor. Our apartments are just directly opposite each other, doing everything in common. We didn't mind the religious difference. Everyone was just supportive of each other. The two families just everything in common. So when she told the second sister a couple of times, the second sister like saying the same thing. So then she got fed up and then now had the guts to tell my wife and said, "This is what has been happening to me." We were shocked. And our first point of contact was to go and confirm this at the hospital. Of course, not that we doubted her, but we just wanted to know the extent to which, whatever damage has been done. And our worst fear was confirmed at a hospital called the Nigerian Police Clinic, which is where I've been keep taking out of my family then. And the lady confirmed, I'm talking about the medical doctor, after examination confirmed on the 17th April that, A, even before now, 2 days before now, she had just been sexually abused with fresh evidences that we're seeing. And she's not abused just from her mean private part, but also from her anus.
Are you serious?
I'm like, so I was in shock. I was like, what? And the corporates, boys, who we ourselves have taken as part of our family, who, I mean, just right from when they entered Nigeria up to that stage, we were literally helping, to integrate them there. And they are all were going to the same family, I mean, the same school. It was not for the issue of further stigmatization. I would have shared photos of this group of children coming up together. You understand? So I was shocked. Fast forward, I mean, I was like very terrible. I went temporarily insane. Like I said, I've never ever felt anything like that before, as I felt on that April 17th of 2021. And so I decided to beat up those boys. And then in my retaliation, of course, no one will sit by and allow you to do that. So I was restrained by colleagues, by security forces, I mean, security personnel of the embassy. And the ambassador called because they were all in the same compound, and he called on someone's phone and his special assistant's phone that he wanted to talk to me because they were like, we are stopping that, and nothing says you want to beat up these boys. So when he called me, I said, whoever is calling, I'm not in the mood to speak to anyone. And you and I, everyone on this platform, we agree that at that move, I mean, that is at the point at which some people will commit to be murdered. And so, and then he said he was going to intervene. His intervention, something that is happening on a Saturday night where everywhere is just tense, and I'm real, like I have lost it and want to tear down everything just to get to those boys. Said that he's going to have what he called an emergency meeting. But the emergency meeting on a Saturday night when things are falling apart, he said it's going to be on Monday. I was shocked. Emergency meeting 48 hours later. What makes it an emergency? Anyway, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. For 4 to 5 days, we sat under the ambassador's gavel, and all we sensed was just protection of these perpetrators. That was the second shock. As if the shock of these two teenagers abusing my baby was not enough, the ambassador will go on to do everything to prove, I mean, to show to us that he was more lean on the side of protecting the perpetrators than our baby, the victim. When in fact, the first boy, just on the first day of the meeting, said everything our baby said is true. And he said, what is true? The boy said everything she said, and he wanted the boy to explain. I had to disagree with him as the ambassador. I'm not going to sit here to allow this boy give a vivid, I mean, a graphic description of how he abused our daughter. You have actually repeated it, and he says it's true. And the second boy was a bit reluctant from the beginning, denied. And then when he, the very ambassador, constituted a committee, like an investigative panel of the other colleagues to further investigate the second boy, the boy eventually would say, oh, you know what? I just removed her pants and I held her from the bag. It's just one so, but I didn't do much. And the ambassador sat there hearing that stuff and said that it was still not enough for that second boy to be considered guilty. And so he wouldn't do anything until further notice. So then I said, well, under the situation, I'm not going to sit here with my family with these rapists who are my most immediate neighbor. That by the time you open my door, the first door you see is theirs, and my daughter is not going to be further traumatized by them. Since he refused, because by then the committee he constituted had recommended that ambassador, this thing is going to embarrass our embassy. Can you just immediately, just quietly let these boys go back to Liberia while we see about this little girl? The ambassador insists that he's not going to do that. So I said, okay, if you're not going to do that, based upon your own committee you constituted, and they've given you recommendations to say you're not going to do that, especially on account that this boss will still be around, then I'm not going to keep my family here because I'm not going to further traumatize my baby because she's going to be seeing her, her perpetrators every single day. And then the proximity of our apartments directly, we are on the third floor looking at each other. And I kept threatening him just for him to do the right thing that I will pack out. And he didn't listen. He was dragging his feet. So I took my last resources that I had to pack my family out of the embassy as first step, while at the same time, following up with several medical appointments that this first and this initial appointment had lined up, that based on the gravity of the situation, you need to be bringing her every now and then at this time, at that time, because it's severe. It will need to correct it, and she needs this. We are spending money up and down the place. The ambassador had not the slightest conscience to say, okay, though we got investigated something, but we see you moving up and down. Can you just hold some money to help with the expense? Knowing very well we all are not on any medical insurance. With that stress going on, even the perpetrators themselves are talking about the guardians of the perpetrators themselves. In fact, they said, well, this is just something small that Mr. Beatty is just exaggerating. And in fact, when the medical report came out, he will go down to further challenge the medical report, insinuating that a brave the Nigerian doctor, to make the situation look very worse than what it is. Fast forward to today, which is just 5 days away from 9 months of when we did our first medical stuff. Edwin Snow, who has been in Abuja and who was on the spoon talk with me, who initially was trying to be a bit defensive of the ambassador and everyone else concerned, will little now convince himself with physical visit to this baby and has broken down in tears to know how worse the situation has been and how deteriorating our baby's health has been 9 months on, because only us have been shouldering all the medical expenses, and we've not been able to even start her exact post-traumatic or whatever psychosocial counseling that she needs, because the ambassador and the uncle to these two teenage rapists
Mm.
will not see anything like that.
Oh, the relatives.
Wow. So not I just cannot fathom as a father. Uh, and then I'm in America. I was licensed to
Mm-hmm.
carry a gun to
Mm-hmm.
protect my family. It is usual in this country, I guess around the world, everybody has the right to protect their families. And this is the reason why we are saying to our folks, this story, George, I don't know. Can you jump in here, George?
What you would have done?
Maybe I don't really. I just want to listen because being honest with you is difficult to discuss. It's difficult. Yeah, I say kudos to Nat for mustering the courage to be able to come out and let the Liberian people know what is obtaining. Um, what happened to Nat's daughter is not unique in our Liberian community across. I mean, especially back home in Liberia and stuff. It's not unique. It's just that a lot of people do not speak about it, and not bring it up and stuff like that. Is a pandemic in our society. Yeah. Um, Girls are brought even into homes, all right, under the guise of guardianship and in their preteens, or I mean not preteens, mostly in their early teens. I'm talking about just preteen, 11, 12, 13. Sometimes the men in the home, because the girl, maybe she might be the relative of the wife, they start to abuse. We all know the story of what the little girl name that died, not injured, right?
Inja Tokba.
Yeah, in Jatokwa. But I mean, it's only those are the extremes. But I'm saying something that is so. What not experience? And then he said also that the boys were relatives or are relatives of the ambassador, and that would be the reason why he would try to cover up something like that, or minimize the gravity of the situation so that he can sleep well at night. It's just for him to be able to have lie to himself that the situation is not as grave as it should be, so that he can sleep well at night. And this is the reason why we are where we are as a country. This is one of the reasons why we are where we are as a country. We play I'm not trying to virtue signal here, but we play too much with the issue of sexual promiscuity, pornography in our society, early sex. Look at the amount of the incidence of teenage pregnancy in our country, in our society, is enough to scare you if you sit there and look at it. Not lived in Nigeria. He knows what happened to a Nigerian family, how a Nigerian family react when their daughter, who's a teenager, gets pregnant. People say, abortion is murder, but that family would prefer to go take their daughter for abortion, damn the consequences, than to live with the shame and the guilt, and to know what it portends for her in the future. It would be difficult for her to find a man, because we will go introduce her to what family? And by the time the family finds out that she had a child as a as a teenager, they would discourage the man from marrying her. The mother would say, "Upon my dead body, will you marry such a person?" So as a result, it's frowned upon in Nigeria. That's the reason why they got all the black, bag doctors performing abortions all over the place, because children will have sex. But the problem with our own is acceptable. It's acceptable. Mothers will be happy that a teenager will go and get pregnant and have a child. It's thing that they are proud of. So in that case, it's a shame, and it's one of the it's painful, and I really 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 commensurate with you, brother. And there is nothing I can say to you, because I don't have a girl, but there's nothing I can say to you that can compensate for that loss. The child is alive, but her innocence has been ripped away from her. She's been traumatized, and she will live for the rest of her life dealing with the effects of those actions. And for a man who is in charge of all the Liberians in a community, in a nation, to not be open enough to accept that something like this horrendously occur, and to take actions to be able to help the child, to even refer the situation to the foreign minister, and the foreign minister acting on, because I'm very sure this news reached the foreign ministry. I'm very, very sure, but the Liberian way just dismiss it, because not Blajay is not one of the big wigs. If the roles were reversed, if it was contest child, we were seeing a difference in terms of response. If the roles was reversed, I'm telling you, if it was one of his that this thing had happened to, won't be ties anybody. He will have antagonized that family. He will have made them like the parents will be some of the guilty party for the act of their children. But for him, the typical thing, he's the powerful one now, so he uses his position to suppress a family, and not even if anything, your humanity. Where is your humanity? You see, not. This is what I'm saying, because in our Liberian community, whether we accept it or not, it's a normal occurrence. Why are you making big noise? You see, it happens all the time in Liberia. I'm saying the truth. People, you will look at it and say, somebody will say, what he making? What big about it? What big about it is a child have been destroyed. And she's a human being. She's the precious child of a friend and a brother. So somebody needs to be held accountable. Okay? An investigation should be conducted. This thing needs to reach the president, because I'm very sure that even if it got up there, people try to hide it from him. It should reach him, because I know he's a man. He got compassion. You can say everything about George Weah. One thing I know about George Weah, he has compassion. That's just the truth. When he hear about this horrendous thing, and ignore it and act like it didn't happen? I don't think so.
Well, I think Nat is having issue with his internet, but for those of us who like to talk and argue and debate, there are some things that will make you speechless, like this one. Nat, are you back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, internet is
I know
stuck.
you. What have the embassy said anything? Have the Liberian government said anything? I heard the last time that finally, a few days ago, after 9 months of back and forth, when this thing hit the media, the foreign ministry 2 days ago or so shamelessly put up a statement. Do you have that statement, or can you read it? What did the foreign ministry say? What was your contact from where you are to the foreign minister, who is the boss of Mr. Conte? I know we have Liberia. At one time, there were advocacy, there were protests against rape in the country. Where are these organizations that are fighting for women? Where is the vice president? She is a woman that cares for children. The president himself called himself feminist in chief. Uh, I know I'm going to come to the president, but let's get to the channel. What step have you taken? Because there are people who will say this thing happened almost a year ago. Why the father is just coming out? What were you doing in the interim, sir?
So what I was doing is that every institution has a procedure. Even if you are just a private citizen and if such is reported, the police will start an initial investigation, go through a lot of processes, right? Now let's talk about a diplomat who lived in a diplomatic compound, and so an ambassador tells you that, okay, don't worry, I'm going to take charge. Now he wastes your first 1 to 2 weeks in the name of intervention. And then you give him all the benefit of the doubt because you can immediately go out and say and start crying on the streets of Abuja, hello, my child's been ripped. Hello, my child's been ripped. Because first and foremost, you are a diplomat, and then
Hmm.
there are procedure.
Hmm.
All right. And then, because according to the Vienna Convention, you can just get a Nigerian or a host security force coming to a diplomatic compound. That is why, even here in Monrovia, where I am, we didn't know initially why people go, running to the U.S. embassy whenever there were issues, and then we found out that the Liberian authorities are restrained, from entering the embassy because that is an extension of the territory of another country.
Yeah.
So the procedure of firstly allowing the ambassador to take charge, and then when you just saw that his so-called intervention was just heartless and all lean on protecting the perpetrators, and then now you try to find a channel of how you get Nigerian police involved, and then you see a whole lot of photos because of diplomatic conventions and to follow it, then you know that you already gone like weeks. But at the same time, trying to inform because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the custodian of all embassies, even if you are attaches from different ministries from Liberia. And then, so you had to go to the channel of formally reporting the situation to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. By the time the Ministry of Foreign Affairs got it, it constitutes its own committee, and then it takes you another couple of weeks to send the descent what they call investigative panel, which in my mind was a waste of government's resources because when they went, of course, the only reports they came out with, the only good thing on that report, which they didn't need to, everyone knew it is the to acknowledge commission of the crime, but all the thing was just to protect an ambassador's image or an embassy image at the expense of the child's welfare. Nothing in the recommendation even considered the child's welfare, which should be the first point of contact. And I always say this to people that even if you caught an armed robber on a scene of armed robbery was involved in a gun battle with police. When he gets injured, the police arrest him. That armed robber is oozing blood between the hospital and the prison or the police station. Despite the armed robber being a very terrible person who was been cut, pens down, and was caught wounded while committing or carry out armed robbery, but the fact he got wounded, the police will choose a hospital first before going to the police station. And I have thought that's what the ambassador, the perpetrators, and even the national government will have done. And they ain't know all of that one. And and I went through the process of submitting to them, looking to see what they do. And then before I knew it, they came up with a report that was just bent more on protecting the ambassador, and they tell me that this report is forwarded to the court. That is part one of it, pursuing justice, but the welfare of the child. And I've been asking them what's going on. Oh, you need to get on the ground. Then I spent personal resources and I came on the ground. 6 months already gone, and I'm on the ground. In 2 months' time, everyone is making me to look crazy, making me to look like, like I'm going to be begging them to do what is right. And as I was here, my wife kept calling that, hey, this baby's health is deteriorating. And I wrote emails to them, including the minister, to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and all he did was to ignore that email, not to even acknowledge it. And I look at it, I say, listen, this thing is just way too much. December 6th is going to be exactly 2 months since I entered Liberia, and I haven't slept any single day since I've been here. So I'm just asking for forgiveness.
Well,
We
that's
will get him back. We will get him back.
yes,
Mr.
yes.
Gaiman, the thing is, like I said, we need to, we as a nation, we need to desensitize ourselves to the acceptance of this abnormality. You know, it's something that the community, the society just accepts, and it's not cool. It's not cool.
Uh,
Abuse, sexual abuse, in whatever ramification, whoever the perpetrator is, whether family or outsider or whatever, it's not cool.
I got a call late last night about 1 o'clock from a friend of the ambassadors, and they tried to persuade me to not do this show or to take it light on the embassy and the ambassador in particular. And he said, it's part of our culture. Some part of our culture, the folks do not, women issue does not rise to the top of the agenda. And I told him, I said, I beg to differ with you. If that is the case, now that we are educated and we know better, that part of our tradition needs to be cut out. It needs to be addressed, and it needs to be done with. Our culture, you and I discussed this. We have a very rich culture, just like every other culture. But there are vestiges of some of these cultures that just doesn't serve its purpose anymore. And we have to acknowledge that. And we have to confront this. So now that you are back, I heard that the embassy put up a statement. Do you have that statement with you? And what does the statement say?
The statement just further validated everything I have said about the ambassadors, the perpetrators, and the government's lack of interest in the welfare of the child. The statement was just all bent on talking about the image of the ambassador and how there's reputational damage that I have done as a result of my public outburst on this event, on this issue.
9 months
And
after.
at yeah. And a statement only issued after I came public on December 6th. So I did a response and to that statement that the media will be carrying tomorrow. Of course, even before them, a lot of journalists here, analysts have been tearing that statement apart just as everyone will see. So the statement has only did not address anything.
So let's get this clear. When this thing happened, you alerted the police. I mean, the Nigerian authority, isn't it so?
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. Of course. I wouldn't have gotten a medical report without the Nigerian authority being involved. The Nigerian law says that a hospital does not issue any medical report to a victim without a police authorization. And that is one of the issues that even took up to almost 2 months, because the police to get involved, for the police to authorize the issuance of the medical report to us, the parents, requires it required at the time the police intervention. And this is not an ordinary home in Nigeria. This is a diplomatic premises. And the procedure to get a police to intervene, and the police were not going to sit in the comfort of their offices and place a phone call to the hospital and say, hey, this guy is a diplomat. They're issuing a medical report. No, they said it doesn't work like that. And so they needed to initiate an investigation. I mean, after a couple of time, after throughout the hectic process of getting the police to get involved, and then the medical report was issued, and the medical report confirms, confirms that the rape took place, and that both her private part and anus were tampered with, and that she needed urgent attention. And guess what will happen in the aftermath of the police report? The guardian of the perpetrator, Mr. Daniel Rogers, who is the first secretary at the embassy, will go on to challenge the report that I, could connive with the police, with the medical doctors, to make the report look bad.
I listened to I listened to Honorable Snow, and he said he met with you when when it initially happened. You mentioned it to him, and he spoke with you. He met with you. He said, but after he visited, I think 2 days ago, he apologized for not following up and not doing what he was supposed to do as the Liberian representative to ECOWAS and for meeting with you. But he went finally to meet with your family and met with the child and said that the child health has deteriorated to the point where he cried, and he's going to meet the president one-on-one. What has the vice president done or said to you as the female in this group? To be very clear, I tried to get another female, one or two females on here, so it doesn't look like three men discussing women's issue. But the timing was short, and I couldn't get any of the women. Our CEO said, have I given him enough notice, he will have looked in his database and women will have been. So at some point, we're going to have some women. I know we're going to visit this issue again. We'll have other women on here, so we don't have, it doesn't become a chauvinistic kind of show where we who are not women, we don't know how women feel. We are discussing women issues here. But you tell me, what has the vice president, what has been her role in this?
The Vice President, Excellency Chief Doctor Joel Howard Taylor, was one of the first president who has since sensed that such thing was happening when she was on an official trip to Abuja, and they didn't meet around. That was strange to her. When I acquainted her what was happening, she was shocked, and then promised that back in Liberia she was going to follow up. And so we've been engaged, and she's been following up even before I came. And even after I came, she met up and said, "This situation, to be frank, I think she's been having challenges with whoever that she has been following up with, and she was not getting a lot of cooperation. Mind you, what we are discussing, or what my point has been all along, is not just the justice aspect, because, of course, when I came, I met with the Minister of Justice, and I insisted that the case should be forwarded to the court. And of course, he forewarned me that, well, my expectations should not be that high, because the juvenile law, is not it's not as strong, and the kids court go for the juvenile, and then we don't have juvenile facilities to even detain him temporarily until that. I said, well, I'm going to test that aspect. But on the humanitarian side, I have been insisting that this baby's health be taken care of, because just the family has been taking care of her health, and we've been skipping some scheduled medical reports because at certain point we probably don't have the money at the time, and then we just skip that. And the doctor, what is scaring is that the doctor had told us from the first assessment that between 6 to 7 months you will really, really need to pay attention on this aspect, because that's when it shows up for someone at this age who underwent this aspect. And while I was in Morovia, That's when it began to get worse. The police in Nigeria, yes, they don't have the full authority because it happened on a diplomatic premises recommended to the embassy that you need to fast forward this to the Liberian authorities because they are the ones that will just have the full authority to investigate something that happened in Liberian. So the Nigerian police involvement was just to make us get the medical report as required under their law. And when it was sent here, yes, the case, papers, everything sent to the court, but the matter cannot go beyond 1 day because the requirement is that I have to bring that girl here to be able to testify in the juvenile court in camera according to the unprotected scenario. But how do I get her here in the first place? That's a lot of money to get her here. She is just 7, just she's attained a few months ago. Her mom will have to accompany her, and all of those are just going to be personal expensive from my end. I came here by myself seeking this aspect of it, all personal expenses, and I could not get a single food authority to attend to me, even 1 week after I've gone public on this issue.
Well, I don't know much about the inner workings of the different embassies and the job that you do. We got in the next 3 minutes, we'll be going to the comments so we can read the comments. I know usually when George Tule and I we are here, this is never this somber. We are usually we are back and forth. This is the crossfire, opposition and imposition. We are talking about issues, but this one for Mr. Tule himself to be this quiet, uh, and it tells you the gravity of this case of this situation, especially with a child. And I'm even shocked that the government is your employer,
Mhm.
and the government is telling you that this child needs to come to court. Yet and still, there is no benefit, if nothing else, not even medical benefits to say the child is in the hospital, take her to the best child care and let them send off the bill or nothing of that kind. And the parents have to script up dime here and there, and they are requesting the child to come to court. And you don't even have a means to transport the child. In fact, the child is not in the healthy condition. I don't even think the medical doctor is going to allow her to travel or under that circumstance. I don't know if it's possible, but according to Mr. Snow, 2 days ago, the child health was bad. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering what are the benefits for you as an employee of the government, the embassy, not even health insurance?
We don't have health insurance, and that's what my disappointment is with this head of mission, the ambassador. He's aware of everything. He knows how expensive it is to even go to an Abuja hospital on account of suspected malaria. At least to talk about this grave situation, and he wouldn't even say, "Okay, I know what you're going through. I have been there long before you came here." Even as an ambassador whose salary is higher than yours, struggle to get medical bills paid. What much about you, a junior diplomat? He's not been concerned about that aspect of it. Talking about the court's, uh, instruction that this case can only kick off when the child is here. I have said it even to my direct ministry, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, by the way, as Minister of Council of Press and Public Affairs. I am seconded to that embassy, to the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. And all they've said is that they have financial constraints. They have financial constraints, no money, no money, no money. I put it on record, wrote an email to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And why did I write the Minister of Foreign Affairs instead of the Information Minister? Is because the Minister of Foreign Affairs is the custodian of all foreign missions. Now that release you were talking about that the embassy wrote is at the end they are asking the Ministry of Information to take charge of these financial responsibilities. And here is the situation. So besides me being a diplomat, so that means if a Nigerian, for instance, got injured in the premises of the embassy of Liberia, who are they going to be asking to take charge? They happen on your territory. So you cannot now be asking another ministry to take charge of something that, because it is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that is in full charge of all embassy premises around the world. That is why, even though I'm from NICAT, Ministry of Information, but as I go on mission, my boss there is the ambassador. I'm answerable to him. I work along with him to propagate government's image. Why don't I? He doesn't ask me, and I said, "No, hold on. Let me go and call my minister of information to see whether he's in agreement with this before I can respond to you." No. So you see, the deceptive game has been played by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They just sidestepping the responsibilities and making it look like they have nothing at all to say as far as the child welfare is concerned. And that is my biggest disappointment.
Mr. Tule, I know. Let's go to the comment section here, and we'll come back, Mr. Tule, with Charmy. I mean, not.
We don't have comments, Mr. Gimmon. We don't have
Okay.
comments.
Yes. What we are talking about here, it is, uh, like I'm telling you, it is. It is.
Let me come in some
Yeah.
Mr.
Go.
Gimmon.
Go ahead,
It's
please.
surprising because if it was politics we're discussing right now, we have more people because a lot of people tune in and log off because they want what to them excites them is their time and is their lives, and they have the right to tune in and listen to whatever they want to listen to. But the reality here is this: this calls for more attention than even our political brahaha because that one doesn't go away. It shifts from one issue one week to the next issue the next week, and at the end of the day, I'd say kudos to Nat because that's why me I can't even be a diplomat. I can't even be a member of the House of Representatives or Senate. I'll be honest with you because I think they will just expel me, or I'll be in jail or something like that. Because I don't have patience for such things. It wouldn't have happened to me because everybody's different. My disposition, that I can say, I had a cool love my man. I will. But now it's different. I don't think anybody will even help me back. I'll be honest with you because but like I said, this is the Liberian thing, and just like he said somebody said, I don't know, it was you, somebody called you and said it's our culture or our way of doing things. It's sad, but Liberians, we need to raise the bar. That's just the reality of life. We have to raise the bar as a people. Okay, it's not cool. Sexual um sexual molestation of minors or anybody, well, especially most especially minors. Okay, that child is not even she's not even 10 years old. She wasn't developed in any way. What kind of devil descended upon those young men to even think of her in a sexual manner? Just imagine how foul they have to be able to think of a child that is not even developed. She's a baby in every way, sense of the word. And and you say, oh, why she didn't come to her parents? It depends what they were telling her. All right, and we see those kind of situations with abuse because that's how life is. And you say, oh, why the person did not speak out? Why the sister did not speak out? Okay, and that does not in any way absolve the perpetrators of their act. They can, whether the victim spoke out one day or after 10 years, a crime is a crime. That's just the reality. And even though they are minors in the sense, the technical sense of the word, but they perpetrated a crime. And if they were in the West, they'll be sent to juvie hall. That's just the reality. They'll be sent to juvie hall. If they're not careful, they will even create the scenario where they will charge them as adults.
Obviously. Uh, uh, Gentlemen, we have any comments? Please put it up. If there are any question for Mr. BJ, I know it's a tough time, but let's go. Baton Cooler. Mr.
Yeah, I'm
Tule,
on the
go ahead.
phone.
Yeah,
Tule, go ahead and read the comments.
yeah. Bottom cooler. Thanks, Nat.
Please, I'm busy
AJ.
on the phone.
Hold on.
Thanks, Nat BJ. Thanks for standing up for your daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Please go back to the comment earlier. Let's go back to the previous comment, please.
Usual.
Now, I want you to listen to this.
yeah,
This is Dr. Cooler.
yeah. Dr.
And
Patton Cool, I'm
I don't
sure
know if
that's
you
fine.
ever met him before, you ever know him, but he is saying the same thing that George and I are saying. what you are doing is very, 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 very difficult. Even the Liberian community, we know this is difficult to do. What you are doing, I mean,
He has been honorable.
yeah, you are a hero to everybody. What you are doing, the fact that even people are shivering when you discuss
Mm-hmm.
this, and not
Mm-hmm.
only because it's yours, but we are talking about women who have been in this, and some boys that have been in this particular situation, but because of power. I know some guys who have been raped because not they are not homosexual, but because of poverty, they have been taken advantage of. So there are a lot of women on here that have actually experienced what you are going through. I mean, we can't right now what you're going through, but what you going through as a parent. Let's go to the comment, man, please.
One more. Falling live from Abuja, Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's Abu Bakar Kane. He got girls too.
Okay, we got
People
Mr.
coming. We
Yes,
have the parents when this was happening at the embassy. The
Yeah,
parents
this
were right there when children doing something, they would do it. And the parents
yeah.
got to go to work.
well, he wasn't listening when the when the
Yeah, parents
honorable
have to go
said
to work.
that they are all basically the same family there. The children play together, go to school together. So yeah, you cannot go with them everywhere.
They live in one structure. This is a sad situation. The Liberian, that's Augustus Billy. The Liberian government, through the embassy, can't even take this child to hospital. This is a bad impression on our government. It's reckless. It's just reckless. Bobby Gay, I'm watching the show. I'm proud of you. Glad you didn't sweep this under the carpet. They intended it for evil, but God changed it for good. Thanks for your strength. Thanks for your resilience. Your daughter will be strong because of your strength.
Absolutely.
The Duke of Grand Bassa County, Deco Utah, uh, eh, James M. Gibson watching from Duperow. That's okay. I think that sums up our comments for today. Like I said, a lot of people.
No, we got
Teddy Cole. Okay. Um, Thank you, Mr. BJ, for fighting for your child and many children out there, praying for you, your daughter, and your entire family.
not. I
Mr.
mean,
Mr.
what
Gimme,
you are.
let me just come here a little
Yeah,
bit.
go ahead. Go
This
ahead.
this situation is emblematic of what has been happening in Liberia from forever. It has to stop. It has to change. You know, in the past, girls were brought, like I said, I'll give you a common example there. In my language, my grandmother's language, they say, my paternal grandmother's language, they say, they have a saying that they say, grow big, let me eat it. When I was small, I used to hear that. It says, water give me, in other words, grow big so I can eat it. And that was the thing. They will go bring these girls. It's replete across the board, and because of that, people are, their consciences have been seared to the occurrences of such abuses, because to them it's just a part of the expression of who we are. That we have to. I can remember, not if I would say something. I know it's a little bit off, but I remember a teenage girl making a comment to her big sister, and her mom saying, "You mind her." And this how it went. She said, "Since I had this child, you're not happy about it. You can't even help him with a child. I know you're jealous of me or whatever because I'm not born. You born yet." This is a person who was just in ninth grade when she had this child. She's telling her elder sister, who was about to graduate from high school, that I don't know, you just jealous of me because you ain't even born yet. And then the man saying, "You mind her? I can be watching her. She doesn't even help us with a child. I don't know what's wrong with her." You, there is something sick about Liberia, and this is
Yeah.
one of the issues. This is one of the issues. People I was having a conversation yesterday with my friend, and we're talking about this thing and say, how many Liberians will be well off financially if we didn't spend the money that we spent on having 2, 3 homes to take care of from one expense account? one expense account. You're having two, three homes to take care of. You have to buy this and take care of that and take care of that. Think about it. If you only had your focus only on your family, but the reason why is because we have a mentality that we need to deal with. It's a spirit. I will look at it like that. Because a man like Doctor, is he the doctor? If I'm not making mistake, no, he's not a doctor. Ambassador Conte, for him to even continue such an action, okay, without even making it an anathema and standing up and saying, even though it's my XYZ person, but this is unacceptable, and giving you the fullest support. So was it the money? Was it the fear that they will have to help you shoulder the financial responsibility for the child? Was it one of the factors that led them not to even accept that they were responsible?
Let me just say this on account of that. I mean, the impression this man, the ambassador, had is that this is just a little situation, very minor,
Mm-hmm.
that I was exaggerating to the extent that he will put the rest of the people under the influence that this is not as serious as not is making this thing to look.
Wow.
All along. Onto Honorable Snow, like Mr. Gamer said, who himself had come in defense of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
will later break down and cry and say, this guy, the ambassador diluted the information to us. This man made the thing look like it was just a such small thing that I was even, in fact, he had had people to believe that I'm trying to politicize this thing,
Yeah, but
that I'm going
now
for
hold on,
his repetition.
now hold on, Simon. Now hold on, Simon.
Yeah.
Did he not include in his report that the child in question was 7 years old?
Which report in the first place? That man had no report. The man did not. I'm saying
No,
because I
okay,
just
because
basically.
you said Snowden said that he minimized the gravity
Yeah,
of the situation to them.
because this is conversation with that he's having with them.
Yeah,
So
but
whenever
my
I reach
opinion
up
is
to,
what
mhm,
they did not get to know. Forget about whatever conversation you had with them, but they
mhm.
did not hear that the victim in question was only 7 years old.
Oh, they did not only hear, but they saw. When I said they, the TD men investigative panel from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs went to Abuja and saw this child
So my question
7 years
here
old.
is, if anybody had touched one of their 7-year-old daughter, would they have agreed that the father, or if they responded in a way, because you have been honorable, you've been a
Mhm,
superhero in the situation, would they
mhm.
have been silent and waiting for due process to play out like the way you did? Because the thing is this: once you hear, like Mr. Gamer would say, once you hear
Mhm.
that the child in question was only 7 years old.
For them, because it was not one of their so it didn't matter. It
Uh,
up
uh,
to now, it still doesn't matter.
no,
In
Mr.
fact,
Mr.
the
Beji,
only one they saw was an ambassador who they needed and still need to protect
Mr.
because,
Mr.
yeah.
Beji, not to cut you off.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, Mr. Tule and I had a discussion previous, and we couldn't. First of all, this is unbelievable. Okay,
The child only 7.
yes, 7 years old. Now,
I
listen,
know.
I'm telling you what happened as a CEO of a
Mhm.
company here. I had a young lady, a child that came to visit, and the child went on the second floor coming down the stairs. The child fell over the rail.
Hmm.
She broke her arm, her leg, and her cheekbones. We called the police. They came and medevac. They brought a helicopter and took her to
Mhm.
St. Mary's Hospital in Palm Beach immediately.
Mhm.
When they called me, I called the insurance company. I asked, what is my policy? He said, you have a $1 million death coverage. You got $250,000 on personal slip and fall injury. I picked up the phone. I called, I said, give the child the maximum honor our coverage. make her whole.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Can we get a lawyer involved so maybe they can challenge that she was some our parents was some at fault that the child fell over, so we can cut it down to maybe 100,000." I told him, I said, "You know what? I was there. My staff told me that the child fell. She didn't have to jump. Nobody pushed her. But as a human being, as a father,
Mm-hmm.
as a CEO, as somebody that is a human being, I saw this child. Medevac her to St. Mary's Hospital, Children's Hospital in West Palm Beach. What is there? I know I could have been the legal people to say, well, somebody is partially responsible just to minimize, but that
Mm-hmm.
is not the human being I am. So I am saying to myself, and I told George, and I think we agree on this. There are times that there are things that at some point we say politics may strange bad fellows, but this is not politics. This is the first time that I have agreed with Yesenda. I never thought I would ever agree with Yesenda, Martin Payne, and these other folks. This is the first time I have agreed that even George and I we agree that this thing is so
It's egregious.
I want to use another word, but I'm going to stick with the egregious piece because it's more diplomatic. You are a diplomat. And we are collectively calling because of the incompetence and the insensitivity of this ambassador who's
I
supposed
think
to
it's
be.
more about insensitivity.
Yes,
It's more about his conscience being seared.
that's correct.
It's more about his own actions that he has perpetrated in the past
Of course.
than anything else.
So we are saying the only thing that I, as a citizen and a lover of this government, I'm telling the president, and I'm going to publish this. The only remedy to this is to have Dr. Conte, whatever his name is, ambassador to Liberia, from Liberia to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Abuja. I heard he was appointed, he's been there 12 years. And if this is how he has represented our children, our mothers, our fathers, our nation, he needs to be recalled. This
Is he
man
the same guy from
cannot.
University of Liberia, not?
Was he from the University of Liberia?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is the former president of the University of Liberia, where we have 18,000 men, young girls and boys. I do not want to imagine what has been happening under his watch at the University of Liberia. He is incompetent. He is wicked. He is senile. He does not need to be called the ambassador of a Liberian ambassador to a foreign country. He needs to be recalled. I know whoever it is that is hiding this thing from George Weah. I trust Edwin Snow that he's going to meet with the president next week, and he's going to lay it on him. That means he's going to relay. He's going to peel the banana and lay it bare as it is in Nigeria, what this young lady is going through. This girl needs medical attention. And I know I love my vice president. I know who she is. When she was sick, they airlifted her from Liberia to one of the best hospitals in Ghana. When she had COVID and they attended to her, we know what happened when Omen Boyka was sick. We helped him. We know what happened to the former Minister of Public Works when he had his aneurysm. They flew him out of there. We know what happened to Vani Sharma when he had his aneurysm. They flew him out of there. We know what happened to Mother Weeks when she got sick. They chartered a flight for $350,000 and took her to England to the best hospital. The president, in his wisdom, if he hears this, like George Tully have said, he is a man of compassion. Please airlift this girl. If you can't bring her to the United States or Great Britain, take her to one of the best hospitals in Nigeria. And please guarantee that she gets the best hospital, the best medical care, the government of Liberia. We are a family country, man. Please, who is this animal that we have called ambassador? in Nigeria. He needs to be recalled. Last night, I heard they were on the phone. They were making calls to whoever appointed him as ambassador. And I don't want to call names here, but I know my former president, Madam Ellen
No,
Johnson
you shouldn't
Sirleaf.
call him the name. Then you say
Yeah,
you don't call
Madam
him.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf appointed him, and I know he knows that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has a rope to pull, and he's making those calls to whomever to have him keep his job. And we are telling him, we are telling the president, I'm telling Natalia McGill, I have sent Natalia McGill a note already. I have not been able to get in touch with the other lieutenants, but this is when you protect your government. This is when you protect your nation. It's not when we get corruption on the line. It's not when they're cussing the president. It's not when they're accusing the president. You protect the image of the country. This is the time that all seditionists, we need to rally around and say, this is absolutely wrong. Mr. President, this is your administration. This is your government. The embassy is yours. And Mr. Kemia, a man who was accused for molesting or alleged molesting, for you to sit on this and allow to go on, it says a lot about who you are. And those are also, no, listen to me, because I was here defending Kemia when this happened, and you and I discussed this. I didn't want to hear anything. Kemia should know better than this.
Hold on, small. Not what did I say earlier about the culture in our country? Even the foreign minister who presides over all the embassies and the ambassadors and all the embassy staffs, even himself has been under an accusation of sexual impropriety towards a female. Just imagine how polluted the system is. It's not restricted to George Weah and his government, so we will not put it there. I say it's a Liberian thing. It's a Liberian thing.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's a
Liberian
thing. And all the people who's supposed to sit in judgment for your child, not the majority of them will have been guilty of such acts, not to that level now, but when it comes to teenagers, majority of them will have been guilty of sleeping with teenagers, which on our law today is what? Statutory rape, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's come there. When you say it's a liberating, I can agree more because I can't agree more because can you imagine the aftermath of this? A grieving father, hurting as he is, and someone will come in this inbox and say, this is political. You just want the ambassador to lose his job. Can you imagine? Yes, someone will come and say, so what are you doing to real? Why are you so bent on damaging this man's reputation? So my question is, what does this have to do with anyone's reputation? I'm talking about a child for the past 8 to 9 months whose welfare, just general welfare is just ignored, and everyone else. Like when I was telling here that Snow literally broke down and cried, and I see one of the comments, someone said, "Oh, the guy did not cry." Snow called. Snow just left the house again today and has been apologizing and said what he saw, he has regretted why he had not responded since, only because he decided to listen to the version of the ambassador. And the ambassador's version is, yes, this thing may have happened, but it's just one of those things where children are playing. It's just one small thing, and not just exaggerating. In fact, he convinces himself that I'm being used by whoever that does not love
so
him.
So he can sleep good in the night, Nat.
Yeah, I don't understand. So back to your thing, is a Liberian thing, so much so that as you come out, and even professional colleagues, damn, mama, you decided to expose your family?
Yes.
I'm like, wait, are you serious? So do I allow my family, especially my daughter, to die in silence in the name of avoiding stigmatization? If that is how sacred people take rape to be. Look, I sat up and counted everything from a media professional background. I know you don't just easily get to talk about rape like that.
Yeah, now move a little bit. The camera, you are the other way. There you go. A little bit. No. The other way. Yeah, there you go.
That's better.
Nope, you're going back. You're going.
Yeah.
You're going back again.
It's okay like that. It's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, and then people are like, I am aware that if I came out, I know forever my family is going to be stigmatized. Tomorrow is going to be exactly 1 week since I came out publicly. And a couple of days, I was just entering the supermarket to get something. As I was coming out, I heard the supermarket guys, oh, that is the guy. Can you imagine? That is the guy.
You gotta
So,
steam your food.
yeah, but didn't I calculate all of this? I calculated all of this against the overall benefit, and not just for my daughter. You and I may have no idea how many of such things, even if not rape, but very dangerous things, having our very missions and ambassadors are covering it up, and they have their cahoots here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who themselves are just bent or lean towards protecting their very own. So when Mr. Gaiman outlined a couple of instances where thousands of dollars were used to, airlift people out of here and stuff, it is because it was their own.
Yeah,
This one is not one of their own.
yeah,
So
yeah.
because it's not one of their own, people came from here, went to Nigeria, saw this baby, came back here, and the biggest thing, as far as they did, in fact, they considered as favor, oh, there was done, but that was very disrespectful for the ambassador. Why? Because he didn't take a phone call when he had just lost it, and not did not tell the ambassador that he was packing up. How are those things relevant to the welfare of a child? How are they relevant to the welfare of a 7 year
So
old
what did
child?
they expect you to do? To
To
remain
stay
with your
there.
family? They
No,
wanted
no,
you
no.
your family
Yeah,
to
yeah,
remain in the
no.
same
They
space?
expected. Yeah, they expected me after I had one forewarned this man that keeping this rapist here is going to be dangerous for the psychological aspect of my daughter and even our entire family. Since he refused to send them back home, I will pack my family out, and he says that no. They expected that I would keep my family there. That I will use my. I'm talking about. We have assigned apartments at the embassy of Liberia. Government does not pay rent, but I had to take scarce micro resources to rent. Abuja is rated among one of the, in fact, the first five most expensive places in Africa when it comes to accommodation because
Yep,
of security purpose. So
yep.
you can afford to go and rent in one Ghana's and West Point kind of place. You got to go in an expensive place because it has security. And then with that tag of being a diplomat, you are even more exposed. I took all of those risks and yet took that financial risk. And then and I did that. And then these guys sit here, they call themselves ambassadors of Blajay, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and said that was disrespectful of an ambassador who was calling on the phone at the time. I was all raged, and I was supposed to call the ambassador. So I was supposed to take a call. Say, yes, sir. Okay, no, even though this rape was done to my child, but that you are calling, and he's in the same compound, though, a compound where you could just walk up to the place. That is the same man who couple of weeks later, when police came to invite those boys who could not come up after I refused to take his call, it's the same man who came running up when the police have come to arrest who are referred to as nephews. That's what I say he was more lean on protecting the perpetrators than the victim. And he will go on to dilute the severity of this situation to everyone that are addressing or that are pushing on it.
Not. We got 10 more minutes here. I just, like I'm saying, I'm asking you now that you have come public and you have joined the thousands and thousands of silent uh, killers, silent death, or people that are so ashamed, children, young women and men that are raped, usually they blame themselves thinking that it had something to do with it, either how they dressed or how they talk or they deserve what happened. For a father like you to come up and say, you know what, I'm willing to put everything on the line for my child, I think you are one in a million. I think you have joined a chorus. There are those in this particular chorus that are in it for the political reasons, and we know them. But on this particular issue, at this particular time, it doesn't matter. George Tula is here. He's a rational human being. We debate the issue. He knows, and he's saying this is terrible. I am the supporter, the staunch supporter of this government and this president. And I'm saying to you, as a father, as a friend, and somebody who is close to this administration, I am telling you, it is wrong. It was wrong yesterday. It is wrong today. It will be wrong tomorrow. And the president, I am only hoping
Um,
that Snow is right, that he's going to meet the president on Tuesday. He said he met with the ambassador at the meeting, I think it was yesterday, no, Friday, they met in Abuja. And he talked to to the ambassador one-on-one, man to man, and explained to him how he felt. I hope he's honest enough that he's going exactly to the president and saying this. And the best way for this government to save face, because this is not going to go away, is for him to recall this gentleman. Let this become a precedent to this country that if you are in a foreign embassy and you have power over people, jurisdiction over people, you do not have the right, whether you are a teacher and you're giving grades to girls for sex, whether you are a pastor, you have that power over a woman and you molesting her. If you are an imam, you are in the mosques, and you're doing this because it is part of your custom in your religion. Women are not, they are not up to that level, and they should be submissive. Whether you are a supervisor and the girl or the woman has no other means, no other way out, this is the only income, and you're using your power to use her as sex slave. We're saying the feminist in chief, George Weah, President George Weah, this is the time for you to make your mark. This is the time for you to have a clear demarcation as to where we are when it comes to rape.
let me say
And
something.
I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead, George.
It's not only about saving face. My point is this: how can anyone, how can we all as a nation hear that a 7-year-old child who doesn't have anything developed in terms of womanhood, nothing is developed, just hope she won't have to deal with fistula growing up? How can you hear, even if you say, oh, yes, the parent reacted in a very sentimental, emotional, aggressive manner, he insubordinated his boss or whatever, but the fact is, the victim, the purported victim, the alleged victim, is 7 years old. It should cause anyone to stop and say, let's investigate this matter to the fullest. Mr. Ambassador, I hear what you say, but we need to look into this matter because the child is 7 years old. If you, as a public official, are tasked with the important issue of investigating such an allegation, and you hear that the victim is even a sub-minor, she's almost a toddler, so to speak, and she has been abused. And even if you do not have the facts and you are hearing it from a highly placed individual who refutes the story being established by the victim's parents, how can you in good conscience not say let's investigate? Now we're not talking about a woman who has already had children, even if she's abused, we still need to look into the matter. But we need to look even deeper into the matter if it's a baby. That girl is a baby, or she's a baby, she's someone's baby that have been abused by two full grown individuals. 16-year-old, they grown. And you allow it to be buried for sentiments. You say politics and whatever. So I'm even blaming those along the chain of command who came in touch with this thing. And that 7-year-old is so desensitized to the gravity of the situation that the fact that an alleged victim is 7-year-old did not even move them, Mr. Gaiman. That is where I want to center my thing. That People are so desensitized to the issue of sexual immorality and sexual promiscuity and sexual abuse in our society that when they hear, it doesn't make you shiver that our 7-year-old child is alleged to have been abused.
And the
As an
medical
investigator,
the medical report backs
as
that
an
up.
investigator, you say, let's look into this thing and let's examine it and call the man and reprimand him and say, look, on my one-on-one, you and myself talking this thing happened, and you need to get ahead of it and try to mitigate the issues now and try to apologize and try to take steps. Nothing. God, man, Liberia.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We are wrapping up. I think we lost Mr. Blajay there. I wanted him to have his closing remark. But Mr. Tule, let's close here. Let me do
The closing and you can't.
Let me do some housekeeping here. I think it's next sometime this week. We are going to have a special, and it's going to be hosted by the Political Hour. Is going to be hosted by Anthony C. and George Tule. And it's going to be exclusively about what's happening in the Liberty Party. He's a Liberty partisan. He understands the Constitution. He understands the culture. He understands everything. Those of us who are not members of the Liberty Party, we can speculate. But from a partisan standpoint, he is going to be digging deeper into what's happening in the Liberty Party. We are going to be looking at the different constitutions. We're going to be looking at the personalities involved. We are not going to be talking about personality per se, but we are going to be talking about issues that concern personalities. So it's going to be more academic, more in-depth. So get prepared, get your questions. Anthony C.A. and George Tule are going to have an exclusive this week where we're going to talk about the issues of Liberty Party, what's happening in Liberty Party. Yeah, Mr. Tule, go ahead. I just wanted to...
On Sunday, we'll also have some Liberty Party people with us.
Okay, Sunday. Then the following Sunday, we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to have our friend, what's his name, Charles Wordsworth. You want to talk about the county media history of sports, and then we're going to continue the Liberty Party saga with that. George Tule and I always want to talk about the Liberty Party thing. He tells me, you don't want to talk about anything else, but if it comes to Liberty Party or the CPP, you all gung-ho. Well, that's true too. Here is the flyer here, and it's the Hour of Politics, and it's presented by Anthony C.A., the Liberty Party in Crisis. That is, it's in a nutshell. It's an exclusive, and will be next Saturday at 12. Saturday is that 12/18, on the 18th of this month. You're going to have a great time, and it comes on at 9, and then that will be followed by a primetime Sunday. And on there, you're going to have our own man, Mansfield Duopo. You're going to have Wale Mobile. You're going to have Councilor Frederick Jewett, a very good friend of mine. I know him since cyberspace. And we're going to be also talking to Massa Washington. That would be, actually, that's today, 6 o'clock today, following this show. This one we are talking about now, you're going to have some heavyweights on here. So stay tuned. At 6 o'clock, you're going to have Mr. Denijah himself on here, the CEO of this corporation, having a talk with those folks. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Tule.
Yeah, you know, maybe I'll lose my train of thought.
Yeah, you know, I got to plug.
Yeah, I was actually very frustrated with you earlier, but then I will let it go. We'll settle that one later on.
Okay.
But the issue here is this. We need to raise the bar as Liberians. That's just a reality. We need to raise the bar. In our cool, any day, nothing that is outside the realm of a husband and wife is cool, especially in the context of our society in Liberia. And because of that, I always say the thing in Liberia, it's so bad in Liberia that if you stood up in a hall and you were talking to people and you say, how many of you were born out of wedlock, meaning your father and your mother were not married? Every time I tried, I think the majority of people were in that situation. Um, it- no child is illegitimate in my mind. No child is illegitimate because the reason why I say that, no child acts to be born out of wedlock. So I always leave children out of it because I myself was born out of wedlock. So I always say I wasn't illegitimate. I was never illegitimate, right? I had no say in the matter. No child has any say in the matter. So that thing that was in our law that was placed there by the the TWP government that made children illegitimate, thank God it has been changed. No child is illegitimate, and the reason why we say this is there is just a problem in our society. There's a numbing of us. We're numb to the issue. We're numb that to the point that men can hear that a 7 year old was molested, and it doesn't even spur them on to say let's investigate and then let's look down into this matter and see what is there, and then apportion blame as needed. The cover ups, the cover up thing. The thing is this: even forget. Just imagine in other countries, the fact that the minister was accused of sexual harassment or sexual assault, he will be fired. Nobody will even tell him. He will just tender his resignation and go sit down because he know he has brought his reputation, his credibility under question. And let me tell you the funny thing about it. When he meet foreign dignitaries, they'll already have their own dossiers on who he is. And this issue will cause them to even look dim on the president. That you can have a man functioning without any investigation being carried out, whatever. He's functioning as a minister of foreign affairs, and you have not conducted any in detailed investigation. And he has an allegation of sexual impropriety, sexual assault over his life, and you just leave it. So when people look at it and say these people are not serious, I'll be honest with you. Like the Western Europeans, the Scandinavians, maybe other people in the developed world, they have their own sort of issues. So they might even look upon it, they might ignore it. But when you're dealing with the people in the West, they will look down on you and they say, mm-mm. They will sit across from you because of diplomatic reciprocity, all right, or diplomacy, but they'll have no respect in the outcome of any meeting that you have with them. It's a reality. So we need to hold ourselves accountable for such things. How can it be that you have a minister of foreign affairs who has been accused of such a thing without any in detail investigation, with a committee put together to look into the matter and see what comes out of it? How can so what you expect that man to hold content? You expect him to hold content. You expect him to hold content and liable for any action of his? No, that's my final statement. You can
Thank
do it.
you. Nabeji, thank you for coming back. We are closing. We gave you the last word here. Is there anything you want us to know? Anything you want us to do? I know I call everybody that owns a platform, our sister company or sister station. Somebody else have started doing fundraiser for you, for not for you but for the young lady. I have done my contribution there. Is there anything else that you guys are doing privately that you want you have established that we can make contribution to? Or anybody who feel for this child want to make a $10 or $15? Do you have a personal account established that people can go to and make some contribution, and then um, uh, make your last closing statement because we got to go.
Well, we haven't established a personal account yet in terms of funding. What Spoon Event did was just instantaneous, like having heard the story and then right away, and then they raise some funds. Um, but I mean, the thing is, I just look forward to the public helping out because the honest truth is, I've given out on my direct employer, the government. Talking about last account, I mean, last statement. The only thing here is I want everyone to know is that the father had decided to expose my family to this means, I mean, it speaks to the gravity of it. And as a very desperate father in need to help a child, the court issue will come out, but the child needs to be helped I left Abuja 2 months ago, and the situations have been worsening. In any way, anyone can help us. It's just the on the humanitarian side. You know, like I always tell people, if their kid loses of life or anything bad happens, there will be no case to prosecute in the first place. So that's where I want all of the attention to be.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was a grieving father who is burning inside. We have a daughter that is suffering, that is in pain. If you think the father is here in agony, just imagine what the mother is going through. She's in Abuja by herself with his sick child. And we are here appealing. I've sent a note to Miguel. Hopefully, I see here, I noticed that he read it because it tells me that he opened it. And I told him exactly how I felt. And I'm praying to God that something happens. Mr. BJ, I'm telling you, please do not let this go. Keep plucking, keep going. As you are going, you are picking up support. I am on board. Everybody else are here. George is on board. Tule is on board. Everybody is on board. We are going to see this through. We are not going to allow the government to outweigh us to say, I'll wait after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's going to die down. It is not going to happen. And I can arrest the government can rest assured we are here. I know you got another engagement with our CEO here to talk about this, and encourage you to keep it up. And please, let's keep this going until this young lady, first of all, that she's made whole, she's healthy, and then we go on from there, because I know they have sent this into a juvenile court. It is another means of covering up to say we can't deal with it now because in court we know how this whole thing works. So, Mr. Tule, thank you very much. Mr. BJ, God bless you. You have our support. Anybody that calls you to talk about your daughter, please go there. Don't overlook any platform. Don't overlook any community radio station. Go everywhere. You are now the messenger. You are now like, we're going to do the Jehovah Witness advocacy. We're going to go door to door, one to one. That's why it's going to take. We're going to shame these people that are using their power and their portfolio to do harm to little people like us. We now have a platform. We can go and do this. Thank you very much. And I want to say thank you very much to FOL and all our friends and folks who tune in. And those who tune in but embarrassed to make comments or call, we say thank you. Give him your support. And at some point, when the family has come to itself, and you muster that courage to have a GoFundMe account to help this child, please let us know so we can also help in publicizing it.
Yes, for the time being, since Spoon Heaven started, like people just use the Spoon Heaven Cash App, at least to have a coordinated aspect for now until we have a further decision on whether there'll be a GoFundMe fund or the same way for whatever. But Spoon Heaven's Cash App works for now.
Thank you very much. I'm going to talk to our CEO so he can make that available to us or whatever channel they use to do that so we can help in that life. But thank you for coming, and I look forward to talking to you privately during the week. I know it's late in Liberia. Mr. Tule, thank you very much. And for those of you who are watching, you can stay on. We're going to have Manfred Duopo, Massa Washington, and our CEO at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much. We'll see you during the week. Mr. Tule is going to be talking about Liberty Party in crisis. Thank you very much, and God bless. Eh?
We are